How's it going, folks? Rob here. Had a couple of people on Patreon ask me if I could do a few more walk around clips, just, you know, keep you in the loop as to what's going on. So I thought I'd kick that off today and do a bit of a midweek sort of roundup on what's going on in the patch. So I'll have a bit of a quick look out the front here at how a few things are doing, and then we'll nip on down the back. So starting off out the front here, yeah, as you can see, I need to mow the lawn. The asparagus is starting to die back. It's just this time of year, it's a little bit cool. I think today was 15, and I think we hit 1 or 2 overnight. We had a minus the other day, so things are definitely cooling down. The chili's still got loads of fruit on though. We're letting a lot just dry on the plant. We've had people pick them off dry and they say they keep really well, so we're just going to leave them on there. As people visit, we always offer them, you know, a couple of chilies when they leave. But yeah, we're pretty much all sorted all winter for chilies, I think, with those lot. The eggplant out the front here has 1 left on it, just down the bottom. I nipped a few yellow ones off before. They're still edible. When they go yellow, they just don't look as attractive. Over here in the first bed, the broccoli's doing well. We've nipped off a couple of nice heads, and a couple of side shoots are starting to come through. There's one over the back there that I've been a bit neglectful on, so we might just leave him for the bees. And yeah, these others here should pretty much all come off tonight. Might have a bit of a cabbage and chicken meal tonight, I think, with a couple of bits of broccoli. The Thai basil is definitely feeling the cold at the moment. She's pretty much well done for, I think, the last couple of cold nights. A few flowers still on there, so it gives something for the bees to forage on. Down here we have Ben's Trombone Squash. It's like an elongated butternut pumpkin or butternut squash, and we have one that actually pollinated, so it looks like we're going to get at least 1 fruit off this. I have hand pollinated a few of these guys, but they just don't look like they've taken, and the fruit haven't formed. So we've got a couple of Kents out the back that I'll show you in a little while, pumpkins, and yeah, we've definitely got enough to see us through, I think. Just up in here with the cauliflower, we've got our first little heads forming. So pretty chuffed about that. That one there, and this one over here. These guys here are looking relatively bug-free. They've been sprayed once with Bacillus thuringiensis, or BT, which is a bacterial insecticide, or as a bacterial caterpillar control in particular. So hopefully we won't have too many issues with these guys. We did have a few issues with the broccoli to begin with, but they look to be sorted out now. Same reason, I think it's just the BT looking after any of the caterpillars. So these honeypod peas, you can tell they're not looking too happy in this small root pouch garden. I think it's mainly down to the compost I made up the soil blend with, not being extremely rich. So rich in nitrogen, that is. So I've seen a few other bits and pieces around the place, like these sweet potatoes. The new leaves aren't looking that crash hot, but then again, it's also been cold and they do like the warmer weather. But yeah, I'm thinking I need to add a bit more fertiliser into the mix. I've gone out and bought an organic chicken-based fertiliser, and I've been adding that to a couple of the beds out the back already that you may have seen on other clips. So probably put a couple of handfuls under that mulch and give it a bit of a watering, as well as another liquid fertiliser as well, an organic one, and see if that brings them on. Over here, this basil is trying to hang in there, the same as this Thai basil, full of flowers, so the bees have got something to forage on. So I'm just going to let it go, let it run its course. The oregano in here is just loving it. It's doing really well. The Malabar spinach didn't do much, and it's pretty much all started to throw some little seeds down the back there. A couple of pretty little flower buds there. So yeah, again, I think it's just down to the compost mix I use not being rich enough. I need to really look into maybe supercharging the compost a bit more. Chinese yam, still growing, it's still alive. As Brad said, leave it another season and we'll dig it up then and see what the root looks like. As for the bananas, yeah, they're not doing too much. A little bit cold at the moment. We'll nip on down the back. The papaya, or as we call it here, pawpaw, in the air-printing wicking barrel is doing rather well. It's got a few more flowers on, as well as some fruit set. So this thing has been fed up with a fair bit of the high potassium seaweed solution, which I think is encouraging the fruit and the flowers. Over here we have a Carob Barrel. This was supposed to be some black heirloom carrots. Unfortunately, yeah, there was a bit of a mix-up with the supplier. I had filmed sowing them out and a few other bits and pieces with these guys. So yeah, I was hoping to do a clip on the first harvest of my black carrot, but it's not to be. But yeah, someone suggested on Patreon that I do a clip on it anyway, so I probably will. Just in the barrel next to the carrots, we have some of the organic chicken manure, as well as some calcium and sulfur organic trace mineral fertilizer I got from David. Thank you very much, mate. So it's just waiting for the mulch to go back over the top. Just down here at the base of the back stairs, the mint's not looking too happy. It's not handling the cold too well, I think. It needs to get out into the sunlight. The eggplant, there's another little golden one down there. That's what they're supposed to look like, purple. It looks like it's recovering from the mite attack, so I think the cold may have just been a little bit too much for some of these mites. We may not have much of an issue with it, but I still am saving the pennies to buy some beneficial mites as well, to release them around the patch when it's appropriate. Been fixing up the soil from a couple of root pouches, adding some more potting mix in there because I think there's just too much compost, and also adding in some of that pelletized chicken manure, little bits down there that look like rat poo, and also some of that calcium sulfur trace elements as well, courtesy of David. That's going in there, and hopefully we'll plan out a few bits and pieces in those pouches today. Actually not today, it's getting a bit late, maybe tomorrow. The garlic, it went out a couple of months too late, but it's doing rather well. Normally here in the subtropics, end of March, start of April, and this went out in June. So hopefully, yeah, it will do okay. We'll get a few bulbs from it. This down in here, a couple of people have asked about this. This is a planter of aloe vera that has been around as long as Bianca and I have been together. It's over 20 years old. We bought that planter together and popped in a little shoot from my parents' place. And as you can see, it gets rather lanky. Every now and then we break off a bit and pop it in another pot, but yeah, the mother just keeps coming back and back for more. Every now and then I give it a splash of seaweed solution or compost tea. Probably should take a little bit more care of it. Down in here, the galangal, this was an offcut from something we harvested one night. An eggplant, this just popped up in a pouch by itself. So I topped it up with some of that mix you saw in the container there, and hopefully it'll feed it up. It's actually responded rather well. It set off some new growth there. So definitely the wrong time of year for most people to be planting eggplant, but hey, if it wants to grow, it wants to grow. This one over here is setting flowers, so I can't complain. A couple of pineapples I planted out. Bananas, still need to transplant those guys into bigger pouches. We'll get there one day. Here's a couple of the Kent pumpkins. I'm just basically trying to harden up the skin, leaving them out in the sun during the day. These guys I showed in the pumpkin seed saving clip. Down here is my asparagus, just one that popped up from seed that I saved. And my poor little blueberry, it's lost a lot of leaves. It wasn't doing too well, so I went out and bought some azalea mix. It's got a lower pH, so it's better for the blueberries. Hopefully the camera's going to focus on that, and you can see that the new growth is looking a lot better than that old growth there. Down there's a pineapple I found that fell under the stairs. Would you believe it's been growing like that with those roots just dried out, just getting a little bit of moisture here and there. So here's probably a candidate for one of these pouches that will go into there. Little barrel system's going well, still needs to get some goldfish in there, but it's been fed up with some pellets, just the chicken food, the fish pellets, and maybe a bit of urine every now and then, you never know. Over here, I just finished doing a clip on a new pH meter, and we have the fishies, the jade perch. These guys have got a heater, that's what that little red box is. It's got a 500 watt heater in with the jade perch. I did a water temperature reading before with a new gizmo, and it came out at 19 degrees Celsius, which is around about 66 Fahrenheit. So these guys are a little bit more comfortable. I actually had the water go down to around about 8 degrees the other day, so not very good for a warm climate slash subtropical fish species. They definitely like it a little bit warmer. The silver perch look fine. They've been on the feed the whole time. They may not be metabolizing that feed, but they will be producing nitrates that will go on to feed all the plants in the system. That ginger is due to come out off to Michael's tomorrow, Thursday, so it will be coming out Thursday. Rest of the aquaponics is going fine. The parsley, I can't get over how prolific it is. We keep chopping it back, it keeps growing even in the cold. The same with this perpetual spinach. We got that one there, a chard. Bianca and I stripped that right back to the central ones the other day and it's bounced back. And we also picked the teeth out of this one too. So very, very good green if you ever get a chance. Definitely perpetual spinach, or yeah, perpetual spinach. It's actually a chard, but you know what I mean. Just a contrast with the Thai basil out the front, the stuff in the aquaponics is still looking fine. Looks like it's getting a little bit yellow. I don't think that's a nutrient deficiency. Well, my card just got filled up, so I just had to run and grab another card. Yeah, the rest of the aquaponics is going well. The Wombok slow bolt, I think slow bolt it's called, is doing really, really well. It's starting to get some heads in there. I haven't sprayed this with any BT at the moment, so fingers crossed it will do all right. But yeah, what I've seen so far is just little grasshopper holes, no caterpillars as yet, fingers crossed. The garlic that did go in at the right time into the aquaponics is doing all right. So we might end up with a few aquaponic garlics. And the other basil down here, I think that's what someone told me that was a Greek one, I'm not too sure. And the sweet basil, they're still going all right, flowering as you can see them. So yeah, we might end up with basil all through winter again. We'll just wait and see. It tends to be the aquaponic stuff that does the best. Just down here, the bees, they were out before, but I think it's just a little bit too cold for them now that the sun's left the hive. But yesterday they were out in full force, buzzing around. I have noticed a big drop off in the amount of bees that we're getting with the little larvae crawling out of them. So hopefully that's over and done with. I actually sat that up yesterday to dry it out. Should probably put him back down just to monitor what we see. This little area in here, nothing's happened to it yet. I've pretty much all just been dumping bits and pieces of dry matter on here to mulch the ground. And as you can see, there's some tomatoes coming through. Dare say they're just coming out of the chicken poop that is underneath all that mulch there. Down here, the sweet potato is doing rather well still, putting out a lot of new growth. A lot of it is looking nutrient deficient and still a bit of evidence of mite damage there. So yeah, it definitely needs a bit of a feed like some of the stuff out the front. Getting a bit long-winded, sorry folks. The end pouch here of the honey pod pea still isn't looking crash hot, yet the other one is doing really well. Actually have some more peas to pick off that. We've been picking a fair few off them actually, so a bit of a winner that end pouch. Down here, the garlic, as you saw, ended up going into a wicking barrel, so we've just had the purslane going down there. Been picking that off a fair bit and adding it into salad. And the beautiful coriander or cilantro flowers are still coming through. Strawberries, still going good. Coffee, still going good. The kale is still going good. No new damage on those leaves. So the BT looks to have done its job. Down here is still a mess, so I still haven't done much. Oh, the warrigal greens, I don't know if I showed these last time. These guys look to be loving the rain we had recently. It's perked them right up, so we've got a lot of new growth on there, which we should really pick off and freeze. We like to blanch it because it's got a lot of oxalic acid in it. We blanch it and then pop it in the freezer. Just over here we have our perennial basil, or sacred basil. I've had arguments on different clips as to what the name is, but yeah, I call it sacred basil. Beautiful amaranth flower. These guys are just popping up everywhere now. There's another one here just in front of me. If I can move the camera back, there we go. Absolutely spectacular. So these guys are going to pop up all through this area once it's mulched. Looking forward to that. In the hoop house, the comfrey's doing well in that barrel. I'm waiting for some self-sown parsley to pop up there, but all I'm getting is more warrigal greens. Warrigal greens, as you can see in here, are doing really well. The cabbages really do need to be picked. Well, that one there on the end does, and that one there's got a little bit more time left on him. We've got a whole heap of volunteer purple Congo potatoes through here. They're actually looking very healthy, so we might get a bit of a yield off those guys. And our last remaining turmeric to still be green. I posted a clip on how we made some powdered turmeric the other day. So this is the last stand we have on the property that's alive. The other one over there in that barrel, as you can see, is pretty much all died off, needing to be harvested. So yeah, pretty impressed with this plant this year. Mighty chuffed. In this bed here, I've got a couple of cauliflower and a tomato with a whole heap of marigolds sown in between them up here. A bit of leek and the pumpkin vine, that's where it begins. Down here we've got our broccoli, tomato, sage and more marigolds. The bed next to it has got some underperforming honey pod peas, and some chard, looking all right, starting to put on some growth. The tomatoes, they're actually booming along over the last week or so. And these cauliflowers, which I think I got to too late, I think the central heads have been damaged by the caterpillars. I mean, I've got some nice regrowth coming through, but I think it may be too little too late and I may have lost the central heads on a few of them. The onions here look to be doing so-so. These guys here have actually had a couple of liquid feeds and they look to be bouncing back. So even though these guys have a chance of being smashed by the caterpillars, what I'm thinking about doing is taking all the shade cloth off. I might start actually after I finish filming here, just to let some more sun through. I'll just have to make sure that I give these guys a regular spray with the BT, Bacillus thuringiensis, just to make sure that none of those caterpillars get in here and start hooking into them again, because I mean, this poor little fella here just looks like she's bouncing back now. So that's the job on the cards after I finish up, I think. Just down in here, I think that will be parsley from all the ones we let go to seed in the patch. So a couple of tomatoes popping up in there as well. Fingers crossed they're going to be yellow currants. Oh, and look, that looks like an eggplant. So as you can see, our beds pretty much will self-sow themselves these days. Just in behind the lime tree here, I don't think I've shown these recently. We have the ginger that needs to come out along with the aquaponic ginger. And then over the back there we have some taro. It's actually decided to re-sprout, so I'm not too sure what's going on with that taro. I thought it was supposed to die back in summer. So there's a bit of a wander through the patch, folks. I know it's a little bit too long-winded for most, but yeah, I'll try and keep them shorter in the future. I will try and do more updates. I've had requests for people wanting to see just things as they progress through the season, so I'll try to at least do one every second week from now on for you folks. So hopefully this overall one has given you a bit of an idea on what's going on now that we're coming up to the middle of winter in a couple of weeks' time in southeast Queensland, Australia. We still do have a lot of plans afoot. Bianca and I are still working on the renovation with the house. I think we're pretty much all sorted with the draftsman now. We just need the building certifier and engineer to look over the plans. Then we can start asking the bank for some money and shopping around asking for tenders on the actual build itself. I really want to hook into this garden down the back here, but I'll wait until these two top beds are finished and then we'll start pulling out beds and getting more chickens for spring, or we're getting the pen ready for chickens in spring. So anyway, I'll stop rambling on. If this is the first time you've seen one of our clips and you've made it this far, yeah, hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed it, and you'll be receiving a notification every time I upload a clip to YouTube, and you can come along and see what's growing on. I do hope everyone's gardens are booming at the moment and you're all well and happy, and I'll catch you next clip. Cheers, folks.